Simone Biles can rake in the gold like nobody else. But no matter how poised she may be during her routines, she's not immune to goofy accidents, awkward interviews, and bees. There was certainly a lot of buzz when Simone Biles won the all-around gold medal at the World Championships in 2014. Shortly after they took the podium and received their celebratory bouquets, Biles and the other two medalists realized that the flowers came with a visitor. Biles, who was 17 years old at the time, hopped off the podium to get away from the bee, ran back and forth behind the other medalists, and ultimately set her flowers down. All the while, the announcers continued to speak as if chaos wasn't happening on the competition floor. Her teammate Kyla Ross, who earned the bronze, also jumped off the podium and laid her own bouquet down. Was it the most professional moment in Biles' career? Probably not, but who could blame her? If there's one rule Olympic gymnasts always need to follow, it's this: don't fall. It's no secret that Tokyo wasn't Simone Biles' strongest Olympics, but she gave it her best shot. Because of the pandemic, the USA Gymnastics team trial didn't take place until 2021, just ahead of the postponed games. By this point, fans were used to seeing Biles perform at her peak, but she didn't quite deliver. The 24-year-old made several mistakes at the trials, on the bars and during her floor routine, before ultimately falling off the beam during her routine to an audible gasp from onlookers. Though Biles hopped back onto the beam and made it through the rest of the routine, she was visibly agitated as she marched away from the floor. Hey, you don't become the best at what you do by pretending you don't have tough days. Biles, who would go on to withdraw from the Olympics to prioritize her mental health, would later tell reporters that she wasn't in the right headspace during the trials. While it was difficult to witness one of the sport's most gifted performers go through such a struggle in real time, Biles was able to come back with a bang for the Paris 2024 Olympics, with a true return to form. Except for one moment. It's safe to say that all eyes were on Simone Biles' return to Paris in 2024. It was her moment to shine, and that's exactly what she did. She stunned onlookers with an incredibly difficult vault and scooped the gold for her efforts, as well as 2 more golds for the individual all-around and team all-around. Then, the beam struck again. Though her routine got off to a good start, Biles took an awkward step and slipped off the beam. She quickly pulled herself together and finished her performance, but her score couldn't be salvaged, and she placed 5th overall. Biles wasn't the only Olympian to take a tumble from the beam that day. 4 out of the 8 gymnasts competing in the final slipped during their routines.
Honestly, I don't know a better word for it than like the mojo was off.
And spectators aren't the only ones who thought the unfortunate fall was a little awkward. Biles herself said the whole environment during the event was throwing her off the groove.
And then people start cheering, and then the shushing gets louder, so really they should be shushed because they're louder than them. I don't know, it was really weird and awkward.
Okay, enough about Olympics hiccups. Even when Biles takes the top spot in a competition, she has a tendency to shake things up. In 2024, she won gold after competing at the US Championships, beating out multiple contenders for the top spot after an incredible performance on the uneven bars. When it was time to stand at the podium, the competitors all lined up on either side. When their places were announced, each one turned around and greeted the crowds, waving and smiling. When the announcer recognized Biles for the top spot, she decided to break the pattern, instead opting to do a little dance before taking her position on the podium. Sure, it was a little goofy and awkward, but above all else, it was fun and joyful. While there were a small few YouTube commenters who thought the move was unprofessional, the majority were quick to note how lovely it was to see Biles enjoying herself, especially after the 2020 Olympics. It's pretty impressive to look at how much Simone Biles has changed since the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. It's not just her athletic skill that has been taken to new heights, but also her confidence in front of the camera. Nowadays, she seems as comfortable as can be in interviews and press conferences. However, back in 2016, she was still relatively green. And for proof of that, you don't have to look any further than her 73 questions video with Vogue from September 2016. Though the clip is interesting and informative, the overall vibe is fairly awkward.
I'm about to go practice now. Want to come in?
Yes.
From the moment Biles greeted Vogue, she kept things as straightforward as possible as they walked through her gym, occasionally cracking a quick joke. While there are some little spots where she goofed around with props, such as her gold medal and a ribbon baton, the energy of the entire interview felt pretty wooden. What's more, throughout the segment, other gymnasts interrupted to awkwardly chime in with their own questions.
Hey Simone, what movie makes you laugh the hardest?
Vacation.
She also answered a question from someone else over an iPad. As one Redditor said, "This was way weirder than it should have been." Another agreed, saying it was somehow too rehearsed and not rehearsed enough. The YouTube comments aren't exactly glowing either. One person wrote, "I could instantly tell that she absolutely hates this kind of stuff." Another added, "This is such an uncomfortable interview. Worst one yet." It was almost painfully clear that although Biles was already on the world stage as an incredible gymnast, she had a long way to go before she stopped being awkward in front of a camera.